business item is that yesterday I went ahead and opened a new session because this is our last class. This was a 3-week session. And so I've gone ahead and opened another 3-week session that will start on Monday. I know it's Memorial Day, but we're all confined still. So I thought I'd just open it. And if you missed that one class, then you can always watch the recording.
Great, thank you.
So it'll be another 3-week, same times. And someone asked me if I was going to teach the exact same thing. Well, it will be similar subject, but it will be, you know, similar techniques, but a little bit different every time. I try to make it interesting so that people who want to attend again find it interesting. All right, so if you are interested and you want to send me an email after or want to let me know now, either way is fine. You don't have to re-give me all your contact information because I noted it, so I have it. You just need to let me know if you're interested, and then I'll have you register just by knowing. All right. So for today, we are going to work on this. But before I start, I'm going to go with the speaker view. I'm going to pin the video to myself, and I'm going to also mute all of you guys. At any time during class, if you would like to ask a question, just unmute yourself and ask your question. Not a problem. Oh, and Gretchen is joining now. Okay, so Gretchen's here. Let's see, Gretchen. Hi, Gretchen, and I'm just going to say that
sorry,
I'm going to mute you. We're at a point where we're starting.
Okay, good.
All right, so this could appear like it's a little bit more complex. If you're a beginner, it might seem to be completely overwhelming. One way to simplify a subject matter like this, because basically it's a little creek with a mountain in the back, like we had, and a little grouping of trees. That's basically what we have done so far, except this one's reverse, where the creek is going to be the darkest dark, and the land on the side, because it's all snow, will be the lightest light. Well, one way to simplify it before attacking the subject matter is, this is something I've done in my classes before, is putting a tracing paper on the subject matter and tracing it like this. So you can see here the creek, whoops, sorry. The mountains are in the back. You have these shapes here are the trees. Now they're lighter than the mountains, so I left them all white. And there was a few pine trees, which I made very dark here. The creek is right here. And then it comes forward. I didn't do the dark area here in the front. I could have. And on this side here, this is the little mountain with the shadow of the trees that are showing like this. So when looking at this, now this to me seems like a much easier subject matter than the other one. So what I did to do this is I took my tracing paper and I put it on top of the subject matter. As I went with my pencil and I darkened the area. So the areas that I saw were the darkest, I put them very dark with my 4B here and here and here. And then for the mid-tone that I saw, like these shadows here. I went with pencil marks in a different direction, and then I used my HB to do this, like this, and also some of the mountains in the back to indicate the shading on the mountains. So once you have done this, and you can put it on a white piece of paper so we can see it, before you draw it, you can simplify it further to your liking. So as you can see now, the mountains in the back are pretty simplified compared to the drawing. I mean the photo on the magazine. And this whole grouping of shadows here is pretty easy. So this is one way that I suggest that you do. If you do have tracing paper, you can do this. Or if you have like what kind of tissue paper, that it could do the same thing. You could do the same thing with tissue paper, as long as it's transparent and you can see through. So if you have selected your own creek that you would like to draw today while I do the demonstration, and you find it a little too complex, if you have tracing paper, you can do the exercise this way. So what I'll do here is I'll put on display both this and this. And I'll be using this as the guide to do a simplified version of the scene. Okay? So I'm going to set up now, or paint at draw at the same time as me. So I'm going to start with the horizon line that is like right over here. So it's about here. It's almost mid. So I'd say probably like about here. And this is where the trees are. So I'm going to indicate my creek like this. It's almost like a Z or an S. It's like an S, not a Z. So making it a little darker to make sure that you can see. Goes from here. So the angle's about like this. Goes like this. Then like this. And here is about equidistant. It's about the same placement as here, maybe a little further even. So I'm going to go a little further. And then it goes the other way, like this. There. So now we have a drawing. Now this line here is a little shorter than this one because the corner is right here. So the corner is higher than this corner. Oopsie daisy. Excuse me. All right, so I'm going to continue here. I was just showing you that this corner here is higher than the corner here. So this corner is here. The other corner should be a little higher, like over here. So probably it goes like this. And then it goes down. So there's an angle like this. And then there's another angle like this. This maybe it goes down a little further. And these two corners are almost equal. Maybe it goes a little lower. And then the creek actually goes all the way out here, except there's snow here. So that's why it appears like it's more like this. But then there's this other section here that will also be dark. I didn't indicate that down here, but that's what we see here. So this is the overall design of the creek. Now, one thing I like to do is to make it and to like even smaller than this in the distance. It will look like it goes even further and goes around the corner like we did for the road. So with my kneaded eraser, I'm going to make this, erase this, and just go like this. So it goes even further into the distance. This could have a little bit of a rounder shape as I look at the photo here. Yeah, this photo and this. All right, so this is where the little trees are. Now the line of trees right here as in a little bit of an angle. It's not completely horizontal. So I'm going to indicate it goes right from the same point here. And it goes like this. And as I'm doing this, I realized that maybe I started this a little bit too much to the right. So I can move it a little bit. I'm just going to move it a little bit like this. So this way my trees can go all the way to here. Yeah, this is good. The trees are this mass over here. I can do I can lightly indicate, you know, that the trees are going to be about here. Just as a guide. Now, the mountain has a nice profile. There can be more peaks, less peaks. You can do according to your level. So there's one peak that's right up here, and this peak is about the same place as this. So I think this is a little too much to the right. So I'm going to move it over here like this so that I can put my peak almost equal to it. So my peak will be maybe a little bit to the right of it. This is my peak. And then it goes like this. And here, we'll just make it simple. So one like this. Now, when creating mountains, you want to make sure that the mountains are not all equidistant. So you want to vary the valleys, the lows, and the high. Some of them need to be higher, some of them need to be lower, and different shapes. And this one goes from here down like this. This one has this. And this is where this other one is. All right, that's a lot of lines. Now, if you simplified it, that's completely acceptable. You could, you know, you could omit this one. But right now, I'm just trying to find a happy simplified way like this. Now, I want to show you the ones that I did prepare last week. So you could do something like this without the trees. That's a simplified way to do this. And here is the same creek, but now this time I added the trees and also the little trees here. That adds to it. So let's go back to our drawing. With my HB still, I'm going to now color in the creek. So I'm just gonna, now's my chance if I want to change a little bit the size or the shape of my creek. The creek is our darkest dark, so don't be afraid to make it dark. And after we are happy with the placement, we're going to then take the 4B and make it even darker. But the first step is I take my HB to do this. So I have my creek now. With my kneaded eraser, I can alter the edges if I want to. The shape is pretty good. And now I want to also indicate the other darkest dark, which is those trees here. So the bottom part is just a very dark, shadowy area. You can very well see it on our example. Got to be careful so it doesn't fall again. So on the example, you can see at the base of those trees, there's kind of like a line created by all these darker green trees and the shadow that it casts onto them. And so after I've done this line, then I'm going to indicate the greens, these ones, the darker ones. So now I've done the shadow area, and I'm just going to simply put my my pine trees. Well, there's this one, and there is another one here. Now, I got to be careful not to make them all the same height and same width, and because otherwise it's going to look a little funny. In nature, things are never all even. It's always nice organic shapes that are created. And also, if we think about what we learned in other classes, when it's further away, then it's a little lighter. And when it's closer to us, then it's a little darker. Now I'm indicating those tree trunks that are here. Some of them are a little thinner, some are thicker. So these are my tree trunks. And maybe this goes a little more like this. There. All right. So here, this is my my snowbank that is on the side of the river. This here, it goes from smaller to bigger towards me. Now this mountain here on the back is pretty dark, and we can see there's some light that comes from the right hand side, so that's why there's dark on this side, a little less on this side. So using my HB still, I'm going to darken this mountain. Okay. Now we've added this mountain here. And this line here is important because it's a line of trees way in the distance. See this line here? But this is a line of trees way in the distance. So these little trees, they look like little shrubs, but they're actually probably pretty big trees, except they are so far away. That's why they look so small. But it gives a nice sense of scale. So it's important to put those. And they're also much lighter. So we'll just indicate them like this. They're much smaller. This one's over here. And there's another little one next to it. Actually, it's pretty badly done the way that I did it. All right, I'm going to start again. There, this is better. There's another one here. And it's kind of like little shrubs and stuff. Another one, little one here. And there's some little pine trees here. There. And this line, although I had drawn it full, it is not full on this. And I think it's good if it's broken up. So now I can break it up like so with my kneaded eraser. All right, so if we compare this to my tracing, you gotta be careful not to dump everything on the floor again. Now what we are missing is the fact that this is a lot darker than this, as well as this, and we don't have all those nice shadows here and the shadows on the mountain in the back. So we're gonna move on to doing those areas. Any questions so far? Okay. Let's see. The HB, the 4H. No, not the 4H. Now I'm using my 4B to make the creek darker. And because this is a snow scene, this is why the creek is darker than the land on either side, because it's actually snow. So my creek is right here. And I'm using my 4B to really intensify the darkness. And intensify also the darkness of these pine trees. Now these over here, I'm not going to put any intensity to them just because they're so far away. But this mountain here, I'm going to intensify it with my 4B. There. Need to sharpen my pencil again. All right, so now's the time to go and put my mid-tone. So I'm switching to my HB pencil and I'm going to put my mid-tone. All those nice shadows here on the side that you can see, nice purple colors. See, all of this is snow, but this snow is purple because it's in the shadow. It's also lighter than the darkest area of the creek. So we're gonna make this our mid-tone. And same thing here for the mountains in the back. I know there's a lot of design in these mountains, but simplifying those shadows is what we're going to allow ourselves to do. However, if you're an advanced student and would like to the challenge of making it all exactly like the photo, you can try and go ahead by all means. All right, so shadows, most of it is like close to the creek, is all pretty much dark. So this is how you can do this. I'm making sure that I'm making this a mid-tone, not the darkest dark. And right now, I've just covered it all with my mid-tone, except closer to the trees. And with my kneaded eraser, I'm going to create those lines like this. So what happens is the trees are casting a shadow on this snowbank, and also because it comes down, it becomes more of a shadowy area. But there are little areas of light that penetrates through the trees. That's why we see these nice areas of lights here and here and here. So with the kneaded eraser, I'm going to add those with this. In adding them sideways, we'll allow it to read like it's a little snowbank, like this. And one over here. And it's allowed to then go back with your pencil and make it a little bit more to your liking. So for example, this has become a little too sharp, but this here, this shadow needs to go all the way to the tree, and so does this. So now we're creating the light with the different tools that we have. So now we have the shadow. And you know, you could go down here and indicate certain areas that are maybe just a little darker, like this. You could have some fun with that. Now over here, we're going to leave this alone for now. And we're going to work on these mountains. So the mountains here on the photo, like I said before, is pretty intense in terms of all the detail that you can see here. So instead, I suggest that we simply follow this design. So a little shadow over here on this mountain. This mountain is all, this area of the mountain is all in the dark because it's all in the shadow, and then around those trees. So let's do this. Starting with this over here. So I'm making this my mid-tone using my HB. And then this mountain over here is all in the shadow, this whole area. So using my line that I made before. I'm going to come down here. With the mid-tone and go around the trees like this. And now on this area, this mountain is completely dark. Now I can also come down here in between the trees, start shaping those trees that I have here, the yellow ones. So making them interesting. Now there's also this shadow here. It continues behind these trees right here, so I'm just gonna put it here like this. All right. So it's starting to shape up now. Is there any questions so far? All right, so one of the things that I see here that is happening is because I made those lines darker, I'm just going to show it to you. I made the lines very dark for the contour of these mountains to make sure that I could show you. However, if I leave them like this, they will look like they're pasted on. So I need to do something about that. And I'm going to use, this time I'm going to use my 4H to complete the mountains. And I'm going to erase those lines like so. So 4H, where's my 4H? Of course, if you have like a whole slew of different pencils and you know them very well, you can have some fun with it. So this is my 4H, because if we look here on the edge of the mountain where the mountain meets the sky, well, for the most part, especially where the mountain is in the light, the mountain is lighter than the sky. But we are going to reverse that, and we're going to say that the sky is the lightest, and it's almost like white. So I'm going to go like this with a very faint 4H. Now that I've done this, I still have the line, so I need to use my kneaded eraser to erase this line, if I can. Yes, I can. Yay. And my 4H again. There. And this mountain here that I didn't do anything on my tracing about, this mountain is almost all in the dark. So I'm going to indicate, taking my HB, I'm going to indicate the dark area of this mountain. Like so. And with my kneaded eraser, I can clean it up if I want to. There. And using my 4H, I'm just going to do this. This is the portion that's in the light. There. And this whole mountain here, I'm going to do the same thing. So this is a choice I'm making now to decide that the sky is going to be my lightest light. And when you make a choice like that, that means you're using your artist license. But on your own drawing, you can decide to be more closer to what we see on the photo here, and have the mountains that are in the light be your lightest light. So again, I'm trying to remove this line and using my 4H, creating the new line. So those who have been in class with me before at my studio would say, I need an anti-smudge device because I'm smudging all over with my hand, but that's okay. All right, so what else do we need to do? Well, there are some trees that we do not see on this that are casting a shadow down here and across here. So these lines that we see are from trees or tree trunks that are over here, and they're casting a shadow here across the creek and to the other side of the bank, of a snow bank. So this here and here. So we're going to add those because those are very interesting pattern. On this, I did not put it in, but here I'm going to put it in. So using an HB, I'm just going to add those. So it goes like this. It's pretty dark. Oops, sorry. It's pretty dark over here. Then it goes a little lighter. But then over here, it goes up like this, then straight. And what happens by doing this, we're showing that the snowbank goes like this. Another one. So trees have a funny way to create some nice, beautiful patterns on the snow. And this one's just like this. Sometimes it just goes like this. Now we're losing where the water starts and where the shadow ends, but that's okay. All right, so this here is something I completely left out on this drawing, and maybe now is the time to indicate it, because the water, the creek comes down this way, but it also goes that way. So it's kind of like it goes right here. And those trees are casting a shadow over here, like this. I'm using my HB right now, but I'm making it darker or lighter. And there's another little shadow here. All right, what about these trees here? Are they lighter or darker than the mountain in the back? These trees here. On this magazine, they appear to be pretty close in tone if we compare them with the mountains in the back. And because this artist, Aaron, he used some beautiful colors, and they're complementary colors, we can read those trees very well. Now, on our drawing, because we are in black and white, if we were to use the same tones, then we would lose these trees. We want to lose the trees. We could. Well, one way to represent these trees and not completely lose them is I suggest that around the trees we make the background a little darker, but not necessarily creating a sharp contrast with the rest of the mountain. Just this area here, like this. All right, so what I did is in this area here, I made this just a tone darker with my HB. See how this is a little darker than this, but it's still the same mountain in the back. And once this is done, I'm going to use my 4H, and I'm going to make those trees, but using the pencil in a different direction. So all these lines here, I made them going this way, diagonal, going this way, like a slash. Now I'm going to make the trees with the direction this way, like this. And using my HB, I'm going to make sure that the tree trunk is showing. All the branches. So now they will read as trees. Oops. All right.